We're going to try to wrap up the last week's Mishnah. Last week's Mishnah was the Mali Bakotev, the Noisin Elyon, Achiyerdo Latachta Baboim So. You have a mikveh on the top and a mikveh on the bottom. So you can pour water to the top one, and by doing so, all the water becomes kosher, and then it's considered ki'ilu like it's mei geshamim going down to the bottom one. Now, the question over here, which I would like to ask on this Mishnah, is what's the chiddush? In other words, we know the halacha that you have a mikveh. Let's say you have a big pick that's 1,000 liters, and you have 40 saw on the bottom. You can fill it up with this however much you want. What's the chiddush of the Mishnah? I did not find anybody who asked this question. Shlomo, you want to give me an answer? Parrots? Chil?
I think I saw.
It's the whole mikveh. It's going to start from zero.
No, you have the top one has aboim so.
But the bottom one is starting from zero.
Well, 1 second. Can I ask you a question? Let's start off a different way. Let's say I have a big mikveh, 40 saw mikveh, and I fill it. I added another 1,000 liters to it, whatever, and I make it super big, and then somehow I get the water to go out of it and go into another mikveh. Do you have any chiddush that it's kosher?
That's what this Mishnah is telling us.
I asked you, in that case, was any chiddush that it's kosher?
Why would it be kosher?
Because once you have a mikveh, that you can call meimus shabaylam.
That's in that mikveh. Who says it's another mikveh?
But once now that mikveh became koshered water. It's not. There are no two waters.
You filled another mikveh with hamshacha. The total mikveh is filled with hamshacha.
But with kosher mikveh water.
So, hamshacha.
What's the problem?
It's hamshacha.
What's the problem? And the fancy word hamshacha doesn't help me anything
If I took a pail and started pulling from the top one and pouring it into the bottom one, would it be kosher?
That's what
you have a different problem. You put it into the pail, so that it became shul.
So here it's coming there. It's not coming there kishamim. It's coming just there hamshacha. So maybe you can't do the whole mikveh that way.
Parrots, I asked you one question, and you perverted the question to the Mishnah. I asked you if I have a mikveh that had 40 saw, I added to it another 100 saw. Is that all kosher mikveh water right now?
The mikveh is totally kosher.
It's all that water like it's mei geshamim.
All that water in the mikveh is like it's mei geshamim.
And if it would be out of the mikveh?
Then it becomes something else once it's out of the mikveh.
So if there would be
I put it in a pail, is it still mei geshamim?
Listen to my case. If there would be an earthquake and it shifted over and it spilled out into another
cavity
depression in the ground, would the next mikveh be kosher?
I don't know.
What can you tell me? I lay down on the couch. Tell me what your suffix is. What's inside? What's inside? That
it wasn't filled with mei geshamim. Didn't have rov mei geshamim.
What does this question?
It's like he's saying it's not direct.
No,
not directly.
He's saying something different. He's saying something different, and I just wanted to make it clear to everybody what he's saying. He's saying that he heard here in these shiurim that when there's a chibur of sheshveres anoid, that maybe really the mikveh is the old mikveh. It didn't turn into a new din. Just it's mechuber to kosher mikveh, and after that chibur will cease to exist. It reverts back into being what it always was. So Paris says we could take that idea and we can cut and paste it onto, if you add water into mikveh, maybe it's only kosher right now because it's attached to our bottom saw on the bottom. But if you're going to detach it, then it's going to go back to its previous thing. Parents, am I representing you correctly?
That is yes.
Okay, fine. I just wanted to make sure that I don't think that the two cases are comparable at all. And the reason why is because there you have separate waters that are attached. Here, when you pour it together, it becomes one mikvah. There is no two mikvahs.
There, it's two mikvahs.
I don't know what
You have two different mikvahs.
First, I know it's two mikvahs. It's not one mikvah.
That's maybe that's the point of the Shevaris Hanod, that it somehow connects them, right? That's a chiddush that two separate things are connected.
And it became one mikvah, right?
1 second. You have 20 and 20, and you have Shevaris Hanod between them. Now you could tovel the 20, right?
Right.
There's no tzad ba'olam that if you plug it up, then you can still tovel there anymore, right?
Because you don't have 40.
What do you mean?
What am I mean? You don't have 40.
And when it was connected, do you have 40?
Yeah.
How do you have 40?
Because you have 20 plus 20 connected.
Oh, not because you have 40, because you have 20 plus 20 connected, 100%.
20 plus 20 connected is 40. You want to call it something else?
So why did you say it like that the first time?
What?
Because you don't have 40, you have 20 plus 20. That's why.
20 plus 20 is 40.
You know what? I don't even need
a
computer. I can figure that out all by myself.
Grade, we learned it.
What?
We learned that in second grade.
Okay, maybe by me, the guy sitting next to me learned it. I have no idea. Somebody learned it, but that does anything to do with what we're talking about? Now, are you going to say that when you have a mikvah of 40, they put in 1,000 liters, you have 40 and 1,000?
Let's put it more.
Answer my question, yes or no?
If you have what, 40 and 1,000?
40 saw, and then someone adds in 1,000. Will you say that you have 40 and 1,000, or you have 1,040?
In one
Sheffer,
mikvah?
are you with us?
In one mikvah?
Yeah, one mikvah.
One mikvah, it's 1,000.
Of course.
One makes 1,040. So now, if an earthquake came and it made a shift, and water splashed out of the mikvah and went into another bar, and you have 40 saw, do you have a tzad that it's not kosher?
Yeah.
What's the tzad?
The tzad is it did not come make a shamim. It's not rov make a shamim. It's all coming in a different way. If I would take the pail and pour it, it would not be kosher. Maybe this is not kosher too.
I don't know. Take a pail and pouring it. You made a new psul. Over here, there's no psul.
So this you made a new psul.
All right, listen. I don't want to belabor the point so much, but I think it's a good question. I just want to mention to you that the pashas, which we said that according to many Rishonim, the way that Zriya works, it's like it was replanted into the ground and it's a born again water, and it never had any, lost. We obliterated its history, as I call it in this year for years already. It lost its Tudat Zehut, and it's 100% kosher water. That's according to most Rishonim, the understanding of Zriya.
And the other ones that say otherwise, what do they hold?
The other ones, they say that it's some kind of a tahira.
And the nafkamina would be?
I can't right now remember there's not going to be much of a nafkamina because there is a nafkamina. I can't right now remember what it is. But the bottom line, the reason why I would like to reject your approach, Parrots, is because the Mishnah is speaking about different kinds of mikvahs being connected, and it's telling us some kind of halacha about connection. And your hasber would be true even without connection. It's amongst the problems that I have with your thing. There's a rhythm to this Mishnah. We have an elyon and a tachton, and we had what was the first case of Mishnah? Also a similar kind of a thing.
Side by side.
What?
Same level, far away from each other.
Far away from each other. You have the one that was higher, lower. You stick your hand up and it runs over. We're speaking about two different kinds of mikvahs that are somehow being connected. So I would like to believe, just from the rhythm of the Mishnah, that this is telling us something about two different mikvos that are being connected, not some kind of a chiddush in how you make zriya, or how you add water to a mikvah.
Can I ask a case more similar? Let's say you have two mikvahs of 40 saw. One is she'uvim and one is kosher. And now you do your connection between them.
How do you do that?
First a node, or however you're going to do it. And then you disconnect it. Are they both kosher?
According to most Rishonim, yes. According to Yerucham, no.
Okay, so this would be similar to that, no?
No, that's exactly the point of my question. The reason why we're there is because that's two, just like 20 and 20 is not 40. So two different mikvahs, one shov and one what we call, when they're connected, they're one. And when they're not connected, then they become separated. They revert back to what they were. Two separate bodies. That's a body of shov, and this is not a body of shov. That's exactly the chakira. That's what that machlokes is, according to many achronim. That's exactly the subject. Are you with me?
I hear.
Oh no, fine. I wasn't sure. So that's the question. Sheffer, you want to say something? What is the chiddush of this Mishnah?
Lamdena Rabbeinu.
Flattery will get you nowhere. Okay, I believe that the chiddush of the Mishnah is, and I'm not really sure how to express this, but we discussed this last time, that there's a problem about the problems of the Mishnah, the Reisha and the middle case in this Mishnah are a problem of flow control. I don't have a better word to use to describe it. Right, the first one, we have to somehow stuff it up to connect it. That should be there together. So we have some kind of I don't have a better word to describe it, flow control. No, it's not a regular Sheferes Hanoid. We have to make some kind of Sheferes Hanoid malachuti, some kind of a gimmick happening. That's the subject of the first two cases. There's the Rachok and the Korov, maybe it got split up in the middle and it's far away. The first case of the Reisha, that there's one is higher, one is lower, and you have these kind of issues. So I believe that this one also has an issue that's related. Now you have a flow control, but this one, the flow controls, I think, is in how we're koshering the water. We're pouring it in and it's going straight out, and we're still going to say that it's kosher mikvah water. No, it's also a flow control issue. I don't have a better word to use for that. Ari, you like to have good words for things. What do you want to call this? Okay, Yechiel, you have some words for me? But you understand what I'm saying?
What the Rav is saying is that ultimately the kashrus of the bottom mikveh is going to depend on there being some sort of chibur between the upper and the lower during this process.
Not in the process, but some kind of a chibur problem in the connection. No, it's in the Reisha and in the middle case, the problem of connection was between one mikveh and the other mikveh. And in this one, there's going to be a problem of connection on how we created the kashrus in the water in the first one.
Because it's flowing as you're pouring it in. That's the problem.
Correct. Right. So it's the connection to the second one that makes a problem to the first one. But if I don't know how to say it, but if I had to give a koteret for the Mishnah, these are Sheshveres nodes that are problematic. That's each one of these has a different Sheshveres node problem that we're dealing with. The Reisha is whatever we learned last week, how that's called the Sheshveres Hanod. We somehow created a artificial Sheshveres Hanod. The Seifa, the middle case was that have Sheshveres Hanod that's weak, that's about to break, and it's still kosher. And this one, we have a connection, which in the Shreis Hanod, or in this case, not the Shreis Hanod, the kashrus of the mikvah is too fluid, possibly, for it to be kosher, and it's still kosher. But again, it's because of the connection to the bottom one that we have the problem with the top one.
Right, but in the end, this third case, the problem is that the Zriya might be problematic. That's what I'm
Correct.
understanding, right?
Correct. But the reason why is because it's spilling over to the other mikveh. In other words, you can make even though it's not in the Shveres Hanod issue, it's not Shveres Hanod issue. It's in the creating of the mikveh issue that's where the problem is. So I believe that it does belong in this Mishnah because it's speaking about kosherings that are dubious.
So when we had that giant wave, if that would fall into a bar, would that be a kosher mikveh?
100%.
And why
The
is
problem with the wave was that it was midair.
Why is that different than this?
Because that's not shuvim.
It's not shuvim either.
You're taking a bucket and you're pouring into the bottom, into the mikveh, and it's spilling over.
But once it hits the mikveh, it's not shuvim.
You are a winner.
I understand. What?
No, that was now you finally came to agree with me. So what's the chiddush of the Mishnah?
It's not. I didn't say it's not shuvim, but the problem is how it got into the other mikveh. That's.
Can I ask you a question? If I have a regular kosher mikveh, it was created from, rainwater. Right?
Yeah.
I was from Noach's times. I have like a nice arboim saw there, and somehow I got it to go into another mikveh. Would it be a problem? What's the problem?
That would be like a river, then you mean?
Yeah. What's the problem? That's a good case. You have a river. I made a new scratch in the ground. Not called a scratch, a new furrow in the ground, and they had water. Fill it up, an irrigation ditch. A lot you can table in there. What's the problem? Right? There's no question about that, is there? Parrots.
No.
So what? What's the chiddush of the Mishnah? This is Zamasha Koevli. You're a man after my heart.
Because there it's all geshem, right?
Yeah.
Geshem doesn't have to fall directly in the mikveh.
Okay. Finish your thought.
Right. But here it's not geshem. Okay, so we're going back to where it was before. This is not geshem.
But you just said it became a kosher mikveh, so what do I care what it was? That's the question. If it would have been geshem, it would be Beseder. So now it should be the same thing, even if it wasn't geshem.
Because it's koach adam. Because koach adam instead of koach.
Okay, but if that would be the problem, and I'm not saying it's a bad problem, then taka should be possible. So why is it kosher?
Yeah, because the koach adam is doing it in a way that makes it kosher.
So then it's not a problem with koach adam.
Well, that's what the chiddush is.
But why is it not koach adam? What is the way that's a problem, and what's the way that's kosher?
What do you mean? It's kosher without question if there's no koach adam, right?
So So fill me in on the blanks. What do I need for it to be koach adam? That's a problem.
We have, if someone does a koach adam directly into the mikveh, it's a problem, right?
Correct.
We have a middle stage here.
Yeah.
Right? So it's koach adam, but it's not directly into the mikveh.
I want to tell you something, by the way, parrots. Every mikveh that your wife has ever been in, somebody caused that the water should get there.
Causing is not doing.
What happened?
If I opened a window and it rained in, I caused it, but I didn't put the rain there.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what happens in the back office of a mikveh. There's an oitzer, and someone pulls the plug on the oitzer, and the water runs along a trough, and then it goes into the board, and then it goes into the mikveh. That's what happens.
Right.
That's the same thing over here. I poured water into the mikveh and I went out of the mikveh into the next mikveh.
So this is telling us that that's okay.
Okay, that's very doesn't no. There's very little remez to that in the Mishnah. And what does that have to do with the rest of the Mishnah? That would be the case. I would just like to read the Rav for you, just to get us on the page, so to speak. Nothing to do with koyach adam. We're just saying that's not puzzling it. Why is it not puzzling it? Well, what's it doing? My problem is, what does that have to do with our Mishnah? This idea, and that's what I'm answering this question. I'm saying that there's a problem because it's running out the whole time, and this is an issue which is if we discussed this, we discussed it a little bit in the previous Urim, that you have to make your pouring into a still water. Your mikveh has to be of still, stagnant, I guess is the word I should be using. Stagnant water, and being that you're pouring it into water that is cascading out at the whole time, so maybe it's not a kosher zriya. And that's the subject of the Mishnah. Now, there are those who say that is a problem, and those that say that it's not a problem. And this is an issue. I don't think I discussed this with you. I'm going to show you a picture of what's done in some mikvahs to take care of this problem.
Would this have anything to do with Brera?
Not that I know of.
Because how do you know which water is coming out?
If the Zriya works, it doesn't make a difference.
Okay, you people have to have imagination. Okay, I'm sorry. I was not blessed with artistic talent, even though the other people in my family were. This is the water level, okay, in the bar. Here is a plug. This over here is the mikvah where you're supposed to be toveling in, the one on the side. Okay. Now they plug this up over here, and they pour in water over here until it gets to that level, to this level. This level is 80 so, 90 so, something like that. So what happens is that they fill it up, bashburin. It's stagnant water. There's no problem. This is poshet halacha that this is 100% okay. Then they pull out this plug, and then 40 saw goes into here. Now, the problem is, with this is Peretz's problem. How do you pull this out? When I pull this out, this is called koyach adam, is causing the original water to come in. So there are many different ways that they overcome that issue. They have it go on, it doesn't go straight in, it goes into, bangs against the wall, and then it rebounds off. There's other kinds of ways that they do it, but this is the principle. This is the principle that's used to fill up, well, we'll call for this year, the Mahadran mikvahs. Now, this is not nowadays even the Mahadran mikvahs. This is almost like a b'diavad mikvah nowadays, where we're up to. What they have nowadays is they have the first arboim saw come from 100% pure rainwater. They have a special oitzer for that. Some of them just use 21 saw from rainwater. And then the lesser ones do this. But the way that your grandmothers and great grandmothers did it was 100% different. They didn't have all these chumras at all. This is all chumras of the last 40 years. So it wasn't around when any of us were born, as far as I know.
I found a picture if I should share it. I don't know if it's good or not.
Okay, you could show it. You could share it.
Does it show?
What am I looking at? Hey. Okay. Upper Ashoka Basin, Lower Ashoka Basin. This is a different issue.
Different, okay.
Seating basin. Okay. Well, what you have over here is where go up a little bit, Ari. No, go down. Is there any way I could write? I could point on this thing. There's no way I could do that. Go down. You see that arrow?
Yeah.
You see that arrow? No, not that arrow. It will go to your
Arrow?
that arrow. Now, what is that going down next to the arrow? Next to the arrow. Go lower,
Okay.
lower.
Okay.
Stop. What is that? What is that wall that stops in the middle?
Right. It's a mechitza, right?
What's its purpose? To separate the men from the women? What's its purpose?
To separate that the zochlin should be higher up. It should be filled up before it feeds.
No. The reason why is because where does the, sort of. Where does it mix? It mixes where your mouse is.
Right.
And there, at that point, that's already below, it's above 40 saw. And it's not zeichlim over there. It's only zeichel
Up here.
up here. So this is the shita. This is the shita of the Chalkas Yankif, that in the Chazon Ish says that mechitza only has to go down a drop lower than the outgoing X. According to the Chazon Ish, it could be no. Go stay where you were.
Yeah.
It could go up. Keep it slow. No, up. You're not going up. You're drunk. Go up. Go down.
Okay.
Drop more. Stop. That's all the mechitza has to be. It has to be lower than the horizontal X.
Oh, this mechitza.
Right. Only has to be lower than the horizontal X. That it's going in a drop less than where it's going out. And that's called that you're doing the Zriya Ba'ashbarin. According to the Chalkas Yankif and others, they wanted that it should be going down there's 40 saw on top of it before it goes out. So there's a machlokes how deep it has to be.
And this is fine over here that it's tap water, Bemet?
Is it fine over here?
Or is
It's
this
it's fine. Yeah, 100% fine. Why? Because this is exactly the halach of our Mishnah. You're pouring in shuvim water into a kosher mikvah, and it becomes kosher. That's exactly our Mishnah.
No, this rainwater was here first, and then it got poured in more stuff.
That's correct.
Here it looks like the mechitza is definitely more than half, right?
It is because
It's specific on purpose.
Yes, it's on purpose. That's on purpose. Now, if you'll see it, if you want, while you have such a nice, beautiful picture, go to the other side. Even though we're not learning this right now, you have an upper Hashaka basin and a lower Hashaka basin. The reason why they have this is because there's a shita which we didn't learn about yet called nasal sav and nasal sav. If the water goes in and out, it could theoretically become puzzle. So what they have is the lower Hashaka basin, in theory, is stagnant. And even if there's water movement between the immersion pool and the upper Hashaka basin, there's never any movement between the upper Hashaka basin and the lower one. So the lower Hashaka basin always is machshir the upper Hashaka basin, and that one is always machshir the immersion pool.
Wow.
And this one, and this mikveh, you see that has that broad step on the bottom? Well, that's such a nice picture of a mikveh. This broad step on the bottom is made so that there's our boim saw over here for a person who's scared to go into deep water, that they can stand over here and they can toivel. Because if somebody toivels on one of the other stairs, according to the Divrei Chaim, they're being toivel in a katafris. So they have to have a place where there's our boim. So that's what that broad step is. Okay, so now all you guys can build a mikveh all by yourself.
Wait, so why do we need both sides of it?
Both sides of what?
If we're pouring,
Oh,
if it's pouring in from one, why do we need hashaka on
okay.
the?
Okay. I want to tell you, I told you the story. I'm going to tell it to you again. I was at an installation mikveh of a mikveh here in Eretz Yisrael, and there had to be fixed, the mikveh, because of the following problem. The mikveh lady was speaking to the Rav, and she told him, when she was speaking about how she takes care of the mikveh, she says, yeah, I go inside and I turn on the city water to fill up the mikveh, and I come back about 10, 15 later is when it starts, 50 minutes later when it starts coming in the water. So the Rav said to her, what do you mean 10, 15 minutes later? It should start coming in immediately, right? Because it only should empty out till yeah, it should only let down till right that small. And so as soon as you turn on water, turn on the water, start coming out. So the lady said, I don't know, that's the way it's been for years.
So there's a leak somewhere over here.
There was a leak, and every day it would empty out,
Oof.
and there was no rainwater at all in this mikveh. It was puzzle. They were filling it with treifa puzzle of water. Okay? But nish gefährlich. You know why? Because they had on the other side the hashaka basins. So even, and this is the way that your grandmothers, everybody used to toivel, that they had just a bar hashaka, and that's good enough. And then, so even though they were filling it up, thought that they were doing something wonderful, and they were doing absolutely nothing, the mikveh was kosher anyways because it has a safety feature. And this is standard in all mikvahs today, that they have two ways that the mikveh becomes kosher, with hashaka and with Azriya. This is the that's why if I don't know, somebody showed one of the other days, the two holes, they're supposed to be 15 centimeters higher, one than the other. The Zriya is 15 centimeters higher than the Zriya, so that no water should go back into it. And that's where I showed you that picture of the mikveh that I'm working on in Chutz La'aretz, where they had that problem. I don't know, let me just see if I could find that over here.
I'll take off my share.
No, but still, first let's see if I can find my mikveh over here. 1 second. No, I don't have it. I must have erased it. I had a mikveh. 1 second, I'll get it for you. I know where I have it. Not this picture. Got the right thing. Have the right thing, but it's not the right one. Where is that? How do I know what date this is? There must be some way that I could know the date. Where is this? 1811. So let's just see. We'll go back over here a second. 11. We are. Here. Is this one? No, that's that one. Here. Okay. I'm here. Here we go.
Sounds like
Okay.
I'm
Now,
sorry.
how do I? No, just 1 second. I got to figure out how do I?
Share
how do
screen at
I-
bottom, green arrow. The green box. at the
No,
bottom.
no, but how do I show something from somewhere else?
That I don't know. If it's on the same computer,
Yeah, here we go. 1 second. Share via. Zoom. Share via Zoom.
and click
How do I do it?
the green
Select it.
arrow. Share screen.
How do I do that?
On Zoom, you should have a share button.
Green on the bottom.
Yeah.
Green arrow.
No, but how do I put that thing into it?
Doesn't that have to be on the screen first?
It has to be open and in another window on the screen.
So that's I had it open in another window on the screen.
Oh, so then you just share and you pick the window that it was open.
Right.
No, I have a picture over here. You know what? We'll do this. I'll do this much better. Okay, Parrots.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send this to you,
Okay.
and then you can.
All right, so Steve.
Okay. No, you figure it out.
When the Rav's in Zoom, he doesn't see when he clicks on share screen, it doesn't show you a bunch of different options. What you
It's
want to show?
on a tablet. It's harder to do.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. Anyways, I sent it to you, Parrots. Did you get it?
I'm looking for it here. I don't see it yet. Must be from out of town. Okay, now I got it.
Look, you took your coat.
Okay. Let's do a share.
While we're waiting for this, can everyone please mute their mics?
Okay, we got it here.
Okay. So you see this mikveh. This is the you see one hole is higher than the other hole, and this mikveh, for various reasons, they ended up overfilling it. And this became a constant problem, and it became questionable if they're toiling and zeichling. You see what's going on over here? You see that one hole is higher than the other? You can't see that?
Yes, it's
Yeah, we
obvious.
all see
It's
it, yeah.
obvious.
Yeah, we see it.
Okay, so and this happened. If you go to most mikvahs nowadays, they actually have a colored tile. I can't remember on which one they have it, so you don't make this mistake. Anyways, but these are the issue, part of the issues that we're dealing with over here. Anyways, that's the shot in this Mishnah, that this is a problem that you're making the chibur with zeichlim, and the question is, does it work or not? The simple reading of the Mishnah seems to be quite clear that anything that I showed you is superfluous. Just says pour it in and have it spill out. So all what I told you now is those are chumras as far as I'm concerned. You can get rid of this picture. I don't need it anymore. They're chumras as far as I'm concerned, but there are many achronim who are concerned with this issue. And the question is, why taka isn't it called zeichlim? And I'll just answer the simple answer, which we learned earlier. We said the reason why it's zeichlim is because somebody's pushing it out. That doesn't make it zeichlim. No, as if I'm in a water fight with somebody inside a mikveh, doesn't make the water zeichlim, because the water is not zeichel. I'm propelling it out. It's not zeichel on its own accord. So over here, the mikveh water isn't going out. I'm forcing it out. How am I forcing it out? By putting something else in there. That's not called zeichlin at all. Hello? People with me? Yes, we haven't heard from you a whole day today.
I'm listening intensively.
Wow, you must be still wearing your tefillin or something. You don't want to be mafsik. Anyways, but that's the idea of this Mishnah. The IT, And that's the chiddush, that even though there's some kind of a connection problem, the problem is the opposite. It's not between the first mikvah and the second mikvah, because there we don't need any connection, because the water was already kosherized. But there's a problem on how we kosherized it going into the first mikvah, and that's what has to be fixed up. That's why this case is here in this Mishnah. All right, I guess next week we'll do the next Mishnah. Okay, we're getting there slowly. I'm paying up my debt.
Okay, guys got a different shaila.
Yeah. What
Okay.
bracha do you make on those donuts? Yeah, what's your question?
Yeah, you have to bench if you eat all of them.
You do not. If you eat all of them, you don't have to bench.
Tachila gaso, you don't do bench.
Yeah, but if that is not true, because you'd have to bench for the ones that you ate before it wasn't achila gasa. At least according to the Minchas Chinuch. Yeah.
Okay, Shela is on a vitamin that's in a gel cap that has a triangle K, it has bovine gelatin. Now, is a gel cap a problem anyway? Is it a problem at all? And would it be a problem because it's I know the triangle K has certain gelatin things that
Issues. It's issues. We'll just leave it at that.
With gelatin specifically.
Okay. So like this. The word bovine just means a cow.
I know. I worked in the business.
You didn't fool me. I know what that word means. Anyways, it's gelatin. Now, is gelatin kosher or not kosher? That's a question. Machlekes haposkim. The general, the tzibor at large is machmer on it, or considers it non-kosher. Here in this situation,
it's not a hanas sagorin, and it's specifically not to be.
So here there are those who are mekel. There are those who, in these situations, if you take a look in the Tanya in the back in Igris, if I'm not mistaken, Igris Chaf Aleph, Igris Kodesh, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So there he discusses if a person, I'm picking on that source, I'm speaking to you. If I speak to somebody else, I either quote a Netziv or a Meshech Chochmah on the same subject. But he speaks about if a person is eating macholas asuris for a refuah, which is possibly even a mitzvah to do, if you have timtum alei from it.
Well, okay, the question is more, this is not a refuah, it's a vitamin, so it's, I don't know how you classify that.
Yeah, well, if it depends why a person is taking the vitamin.
And it's not the refuah, it's just a way to get the refuah to go down.
The minig of most of the people that are scrupulous, if we use that as a term, is they wrap it in a piece of tissue and they swallow it. Because they consider it's not ochel, it's not tasty at all. It's just there as a wrapper. And if you put two Rabbanans together, then it's Beseder. That's what the Machmirim do. There are many, since it's not there for eating purposes, that they allow it to be done. However, V'adai yesh mokom lahachmir on that. If you have do you have a option?
We have options, yeah.
Good. The idea is better not.
The question is, if we already have this, so that's the question.
I think if you already, I will just tell you what I do. If I have to take such a kind of a thing, is I just very simply take a needle and I puncture it and I put it into some sugar, I put it into something else, whatever, just squeeze it out and then you do it and then you finish with it. You don't have to do that as far as I'm concerned, but you want to know if there are ways to avoid this issue. It's not such a complicated issue to do.
I'm just wondering if it has some time release value, but it's something.
I don't believe that a gel cap can have that. A gel cap itself is not, it depends on each person how quickly it will, that's like saying that you have a time release issue on dissolving stitches. It's made out of a material that just falls apart dependent on all different kinds of stuff, as far as I know. But anyways, Tachlis Tachlis, as far as I'm concerned, if you need to take it, you can take it.
It's vitamins, so I don't know if you call it need. It's
All right.
not desirable, maybe.
But you have it. You have it already.
We have it
So,
already.
Yesh al ma lismoch. It's not lechatchila, but yesh al ma lismoch.
So I have to add it to my al-chetz on Yom Kippur.
If this is the only one you have between now and then, you can put it on.
Halavai.
Okay, so then it doesn't have to be on the top of the list. Okay, all right. No, this is there are many who say that you eat it, you don't swallow it, you just boilay it. That's not, according to some, that's not called derech achila. So there's a few different tzirufim in this. I assume that this, you just wolf it down, right? This,
You just take it with a little water and it just slides down,
Okay.
Does the Rav make a shahakol on water if he's not thirsty?
If I'm not thirsty, I usually don't drink it. It's not schnapps. Why would I drink it if I'm not thirsty?
Shosei letzama.
I'll tell you something. I have a guy in my kollel who's a real religious guy, and he asked me about. He happens to also be a Chabadsker. There's a particular problem because of that he davens late. So he's a frumma guy and he's a Chabadsker, and he doesn't want to fast till after Chatzos, and he doesn't want to drink coffee before Shachar. You understand? He has these complicated issues. So I told him, I said to him, why don't you just drink some water before davening? So he looks at me in horror and he says, how do you know I'm thirsty? Some people you can never win with. I don't know. I think that most people that I know of in the morning, they don't have a shaila. If they drink water, they can make a shahakol on it. Rarely, the only time that I don't make a shahakol on water is on Erev Tisha B'Av and Erev Yom Kippur after the Surah of Sekis.
You don't make a bracha?
No.
Yeah,
I might you with something else. That's the only time that I drink water that I'm not thirsty. I'm just in camel mode.
What happens if you're taking a pill and you need water to take a pill?
So it depends. If I'm taking a pill normally during the day, if someone gave me a glass of water, I'd probably drink it because, you could use a drink of water. If someone gave me a drink of water right now, I would drink it. Wouldn't necessarily get off my chair to get one. So, but if there's a situation that I really was not thirsty, I would not make a bracha. Suffolk bracha is lahakol. That's your question.
I think it's someone but there's a health thing to drink like 2 liters of water a day, whether you're thirsty or not. Something like that.
If I was doing that, I would not be making a bracha. I was forcing it down just to have the 2 liters. I would not make a bracha. I will just comment that there are those who say, and I don't understand what they're talking about, that even when you're in the Tisha B'Av mode, that being that you're drinking it so that you shouldn't be thirsty tomorrow, that's enough of a reason. I don't understand that. But if I was doing it just to have the 2 liters, or that I did have I had to have some kind of a procedure done that you have to drink water beforehand. You have to drink X amount in a certain amount of time. I don't make a bracha on it then.
Somebody who's giving a shir in the shul always takes a drink and he says, I'm not making a bracha because I'm not thirsty. Makes a point of saying that.
I had in my shul in Yerushalayim, the Balkaira was getting a little bit old and he started to cough sometimes during laning. So I went over to him once and I said, go out, drink Gavra L'Gavra and take a drink. So he said, what about Kiddush? So I said, forget the bracha. Took him a second to figure out what I'm talking about. But no, it's there. He wasn't really. And then I asked him, I said, are you thirsty? He said, no, it's just from drying out my, he's not thirsty that he's thirsty. It's like, he has a dry spot in his throat that he wants to moisten, but it's not thirsty. All right. But I don't know, whoever was saying the shear, I probably would make a bracha because I probably would enjoy the water.
He drinks it every morning, and it's a common thing. So that's why.
Yeah, no, but so people drink coffee every morning too. It doesn't mean they don't like it.
Right, no, he doesn't say he doesn't like it. He's just saying, I'm not thirsty enough. Like you have to be parched.
Why is he taking it?
Maybe because maybe it's the shear. Maybe he's speaking a lot. Maybe that's the shot. Maybe it's the same as the Balkari. No, but he's just saying specifically. No, he says because of what the Shulchan Aruch says. I think that's what he's saying.
If you have if you're not, it's the. I'll just mention the last goin in Perek Ketzad Mavorchim. Fascinating goin. He says that if a person drinks a tea because he's cold, he does not make a bracha on it. Because tea is just colored water, and you're not thirsty.
It means without sugar.
Obviously. I think he even says it. But take a look, it's in the Alam Masachtas, the Goin Alam Masachtas in Ketzav Vachim. The last piece. So I think that's, you can't beat that, right? That's like he's really drinking something. Okay, have a good night.
Can I ask the Rav two shilos afterwards? Can I call up the Rav?
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much.
Okay. Have a great night. Bye-bye.